Good morning, good Sunday morning here on June, and it is the 13th day of the month of June in 2021, Sunday morning. So, we're going to do a little Sunday sunrise service here, and this is my abnormal Alabama shirt wearing today because I am abnormal and I am in Alabama and I am from Alabama. Welcome to our Sunday morning sermon. In the Bible, it talks about, well, gospel, which translates from the Latin evangelium and the Greek euangelium, leon, it means good news or good telling. I've got on my radio in my truck, I get in, I've got Bluetooth hooked up to the radio. It's an aftermarket deal. And if I don't have the Bluetooth turned on, the frequency I've got it set on is a Christian radio station. And sometimes I'll hesitate or delay to turn my Bluetooth on for my phone and hear what they're talking about. And then I've got, add to that, I've got a next door neighbor. She's in her mid to late 80s, more like 87, I think. And she's very much a Christian and very much into her Christianity. There's always this negative. They're always in this tone, and it hit me. They're always critical, and there's always this tone of negativity. And I'm wondering, well, it's just like when the lady next door posted yesterday, some houses are selling in the subdivision going across the street. Somebody told her that these cartel, the way she worded it, was cartel buying up property and I don't know, taking over. I don't have a clue where she was going with it. But there's always this underlying conspiracy with everything. There's always this negativism that's being promoted. And you have to wonder, where is the good news? Where is this gospel, this good news that they claim to be sharing from Jesus? And I have often referred in my rants, my spiels that I give, that one of the major problems that they have is not focusing on this Jesus teachings. Instead of focusing on like Matthew 5, 6, and 7, and really paying attention to what Jesus talked about, really paying attention to his life as told in the Bible. And to me, here's the deal. To me, it doesn't matter if Jesus was a real character or not. I think that misses the entire point of the message. And I think that's the problem because they're so hung up. I like to say they've Elvis-ized Jesus. The message is watered down. It's adulterated, and they're more tuned into Old Testament or the law, the Mosaic law, and they haven't been led to understand or been taught by the church, I guess, what has taken place in this story that's shared in this book we call the Bible. What has taken place here? There's little excerpts drawn. You'll hear Christians talk about the Ten Commandments. In Alabama, we're known as Roy Moore and the Ten Commandments judge and that sort of thing. And they'll go through this period of time, and some will, that's from the Mosaic Law, the Ten Commandments. And they don't follow through with what happened when Jesus came on the scene and what led him to ultimately be viewed in a very negative light by the very tradition that he was raised under, that tradition of Judaism. He was a Jew. He was raised as a Jew. He was taught the Jewish tradition. He was educated in Jewish tradition in the Jewish temple. He was never labeled a Christian. And if you carefully look at what's going on here, Jesus never bashed the same ones that Christianity today bashes. But I don't want to get into that too deeply at this point, because I want to talk about this good news, the winning part of this whole thing. What was the message? What is the message? Instead of worrying about what Christianity has wrong with this, let's focus on this. What is this message that Jesus put out there? It's called the gospel. The gospel comes from a Latin word that means good news. So where is this good news? When everything that's promoted out there is always this negativism, this criticizing, where's the good news? So as I've often done before, I like to go and let's talk about this good news. Let's see. Let's just go here. Okay. What is known as the Beatitudes. We find it's also called the Sermon on the Mount. It starts in Matthew 5. And even though in a very real sense, this is not the chronological order that these things were written, it is put in the book we call the Bible in an order that presents this as Jesus laying the foundation for his teachings. He's laying the foundation for his good news. And so I'm just going to read that this morning, since everybody seems to want to not focus on these words, but this is the teachings of Jesus. This is not the Mosaic Law. And in Matthew 5, now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He didn't say he began to preach to them, but he began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the poor in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Isn't that good news? Isn't that an uplifting message? We're just getting started with this. His first teaching, as laid out in the Protestant Bible, Matthew 5. Doesn't that feel good? No, it doesn't. It doesn't in a very temporal sense. It doesn't. But the good news is, blessed are the merciful. Show mercy and you'll be shown mercy. Be pure of heart and you'll see God. Be a peacemaker and you'll be called a children of God. You will be persecuted. Oh, that's not good news, but the good news is yours is the kingdom of heaven. You see, that's underlying whole thing there is a very positive, good news message. He's not taking the time to condemn anybody. He didn't even condemn in these writings the ones that persecuted you. It goes on, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. Okay, why would he use salt? Because salt is seasoning. Salt is seasoning. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on the stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. If you live according to the teachings of this good news message, your light will shine. You don't have to, the light is here. You are the light. You radiate out. That doesn't mean you're out preaching and bashing people and criticizing people. But people take note, oh, there's the light. When you're in darkness and you see light, you're attracted to that light, aren't you? Say the light at the end of the tunnel, whatever. So if you're that light and it's radiating out from you, it's not a sense of you having to force your way into anybody or condemn anybody. But those in darkness, they will see that light and they're going to be attracted to you. Now, here is the key point besides that good news. But listen to this in verse 17. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. That's what they're missing. You say come to abolish the law. What does it mean to fulfill? We'll talk about that. Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you'll certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. Key point, for I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you'll certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. And then he goes on to explain how this law is fulfilled. In the 21st verse, you have heard that it said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, Raka, is answerable in court, and anyone who says you fool will be in the danger of the fire of hell. God, they didn't, all these fundamentalist Christians didn't have a problem supporting that kind of lingo, did they? Therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. Settle matters quickly with your adversary who has taken you to court. Do it while you are still together on the way, or your adversary may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. The whole point here, well, let's go on, and then we'll stop. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. Now, this is very important because later on, there's a story of Jesus being approached with an adulterous woman, and the law, and the Mosaic law that Jesus was raised under, adulterous woman was to be stoned to death. You've heard it said, you shall not commit adultery, but I tell you that anyone that looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out, throw it away. It is better that you lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. So there's a lot to be gleaned just from that. He goes on to divorce and oaths and so forth. Matthew 5, 6, and 7. What is the good news here? Well, that the Beatitudes, this beginning opening statements that he gave that are attributed to him in this writing, the blessed scriptures, all present good news. And then he starts to lay out a matter of not law, but principle. So why would he say, as a fulfillment of the law was very rigid, commands, 10 commandments, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that, thou shalt not do this. And Jesus comes along and says, it's more a matter of principle. That's why I said, if you look at a woman with lust in your heart, you've already committed adultery in your heart. He's presenting that because there you go, it's a motivation thing. And that's what he teaches throughout his whole thing. And what Jesus has recognized when he was raised under this law, the Mosaic law, which he was raised under, is he realized the law is ineffective. If you go back when the law was first given, the Israelites, there's a patriarch system. So they tried to enforce this law, these 613 commandments, over the Israelite nation under a patriarch system. That's why they call it the Abrahamic religions. Abraham was a patriarch. That proved ineffective. It just did not work. So the next thing we got is judges. So they set up judges. So we're getting stricter as we go. This patriarch system, we couldn't live under this law, so we're going to try to enforce it on the judges. They try that. That failed as well. So we went to kings. Well, we know how that went as well. So Jesus comes along and he says, we're looking at this totally wrong. You cannot be given a perfect set of laws that as imperfect humans are not going to live by them. You can't do it. What we have to do is we have to change the heart. We have to get to the heart, and we have to live by principle. And this is what is totally missed when we keep going back. We like to say this is a matter of laws. Again, you have heard it said to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows that you've made. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven or for it is God's throne, or by the earth for it is his footstool, about Jerusalem, for it's the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this seems to come from the evil one. He's breaking this down, isn't he? And if you read Jesus' teachings, it's so foreign. It is so foreign to what's coming out of Christendom that's unrecognizable by what you learn in the church. The 38th verse says, you've heard it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Then he goes on, love your enemies. God, this is so foreign. When you read this, it is so foreign from what's coming out of Christendom today. The ones who lay claim to this name of Christ. This is so foreign because they still go eye for an eye. When somebody does something to us, we want to take action. We're not resisting the evil person, are we? This is why it never ends. And Jesus is trying to teach some good news. There's a way to deal with this, and all he deals with the heart. But unfortunately, the heart, as the scripture says. Hold on 1 second, let me pull this up. Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Different versions word it just a little bit differently, but I'll pretty much the same, because disobedience will expand, the love of many will grow cold. Be careful that no one misleads you, for many men will come in my name, saying I'm Christ. And they're not saying that this is where Christianity misinterprets this scripture. That's not saying many will come claiming to be Christ. They'll come in and say that Jesus is the Christ. And they'll mislead many. You'll hear of wars and rumors of wars. Yeah, right. Don't be alarmed. Such things must indeed happen, but that is not the end. Any further in scripture, nation arise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There'll be famines, earthquakes, different parts of the world. Bingo. Nations will hate you because you bear my name. Well, the Christendom of today, anyway, I want to keep this positive. Matthew 5, 6, and 7. If you want to claim Christianity, do so. But know the teachings. Otherwise, that is no Christian.